Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, I've just literally had to hop on to talk about the morning session of the Preston Davey trial this morning. Very hectic day, sadly, for me today. So, I'm rushing back. So I'm just going to get on with it. I'm not going to say my normal hellos. I'm so sorry. But hello and thank you to everybody who's watching this. Thank you for caring about Preston. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to share. And I'm just going to go straight into it. Okay. So this is John, isn't it, who is giving his evidence. Now, I'm presuming knowledge because I haven't got time really to do the normal introductions, etc. I would do. I'm presuming that you know about the case. If you don't, have a look through my other videos and you'll find out about it. And this is the case of little Preston Davey, who was betrayed so terribly by his adoptive fathers and is no longer with us. Was he killed deliberately, or was it some tragic accident? And was there more to it? Was there some sex abuse went on in this household? So two adoptive dads. He was adopted by, or he was in the process of being adopted by a same-sex couple. He was 13 months old, tiny little baby, the cutest baby you've ever seen. And he was let down badly in the 4 months he was with these two guys. He suffered over 40 injuries. He was, admitted to hospital 3 times. Third time was the fatal time. Fractured arm, head bruises, bruises in his bottom, bruises at the back of his throat. Anyway, just terrible case. So we've heard so far this case has been going on already. The trial has been going on a couple of weeks. And we are at the point where the second defendant, John McGowan for Zachary, it's his evidence. He's speaking in his own defence. We've already heard it from prosecution. We've heard from various witnesses. We've heard from Jaimoe Varley, who was in the care. Preston was in his care when he took ill that last time. And now we're listening to what John McGowan for Zachary has to say. And it's his barrister, Anne White, who will continue to ask him questions about events leading to Preston's death. So, Miss White KC asks how the defendant feels about about the fact that he was not shown a video of Preston looking unwell on June the 15th. And he says, I feel extremely upset, extremely hurt, as if something's being hidden from me. I feel like I couldn't act upon it and do something about it. Now, noticed as time goes on, John, it feels like he is sort of casting shade a bit on Jaimoe Varley, or am I imagining that? That's how it feels. He has done some criticism of his. Now he refers to him as his ex-partner. I thought Jaimoe Varley had said they were back together now. You can't believe what these men say. They're both liars. On June the 21st, Preston had his 12-month vaccinations. On Friday, June the 30th, Mr. GF took Preston to the Lytham Care Trust for an appointment about his eyes. He attended with Mr. Varley and Preston. He says that after the handover from foster parents to the adopted dads, it was agreed they would deal with eye appointments for Preston. So Preston apparently had a little squint. That was blamed for a lot of the bruises that he had. But Later that night, Preston was taken to Blackpool Victoria Hospital. Medical records show it was reported he had had diarrhea for 3 days. I can't bear this way he talks about, this childish way he talks about. I know Preston was a baby. I know this is an advert that he's referring to here in a minute, but he's in court. He's talking like a child. Anyway, the defendant says Preston did have some punamis, but don't you think, is it just me? I don't know, it just seems irreverent somehow. But that for every nappy he would change, Mr. Varley would change 5. So it seems like Mr. Varley did most of the nappy changing. Between the eye appointment and the hospital and a tile shop for items for their new home, Preston was well enough to be taken along on these errands, he said. That evening, phone records show that Mr. GF was searching. He tells the jury he could see Preston started coming out with a rash on his belly while he was in his care, so he checked the side effects of the vaccines. He didn't attend the vaccination appointment, but he says that Mr. Varley was told there could be side effects. Mr. GF also says he called his mum. At 7:10, he called Preston's social worker, Amy, and also the out-of-hours social worker line. He explains that due to the time they couldn't take Preston to the doctors and they would need to take him to hospital, so he would need to let social services know. At 7:15 p.m, he called 111, but he was on hold for 13 minutes, so he abandoned the call and decided to take Preston to hospital. I've really, it's terrible, isn't it, the medical care in the UK, really, how long it takes before you get to see anybody. He checked the opening hours of the health centre and Mr. Varley called his mum. There were other calls with Mr. Varley's sister. The defendant says he was concerned about the rash and he took Preston in because he was concerned about the meningitis glass test. He tells the jury he had not ill-treated Preston and he hadn't seen Mr. Varley ill-treat the child either. He said that he had no reason to think there was any connection with the hospital admission on May the 25th. Preston's hospital notes record an increased shortness of breath. The defendant says he doesn't recall that. They also refer to Preston being off his food. But Mr. GF says he doesn't remember the eating habits. To Preston's head, Mr. GF says they were taken straight through to see a nurse. It must be protocol, he says. He says he was not concerned about divulging information. It's just their job. They're doing their due diligence, he said. He says he remembers being in the consultation room with Preston, sitting on Mr. Varley's knee as the nurse tried to take blood from his foot. He says he remembers Mr. Varley showing the video and saying this is the type of thing he does. He says he doesn't recall how the bruising occurred on that occasion. I was told he had another chest infection. I asked, is it the same chest infection as previously, or is it a brand new one? And they just said they can't tell. They gave him a chest x-ray and it was post that x-ray when they told us. We went up to the ward and they were trying to get blood from him. Preston was crying his heart out. Bless him. Bless that little boy. He was inconsolable. Jaimoe just said, we need a bit of a break. He needs some comfort here. Oh, now he wants to comfort him. Discharge notes show Preston was treated with fluid for dehydration and IV antibiotics for presumed sepsis. By the time we were taking him home, they told me he had the rash. I don't know if it was coincidental that his jabs were 10 days beforehand. He says the social workers were kept informed the whole time. Preston's social worker saw him on July the 4th, Mrs. White says. Let's look on my phone. I'm on the wrong. Joe, today's been one of those days for technical issues, let's say. I am sick to death of technical issues. And admin that goes with it, I cannot bear it. Hey Sean, hello. I cannot bear the admin, the technical issues, just drives me absolutely bonkers. All I want to do is chat. All I want to do is chat about cases, get your opinions, give you my opinion. I don't like doing, but anyway. So by the time we were taking him home, they told me he had a chest infection, and as a result he had the rash. I don't know if it was days beforehand. Oh, it's big issues about vaccines now, isn't there? Do they create more harm than good, the side effects, etc.? I mean, listen, there's no doubt that vaccines have eliminated a lot of illnesses that used to be common amongst children, rickets, etc. But they do carry their risk of side effects, and I think definitely some people are more susceptible to side effects of vaccine. Personally, I think I'm one of those people. I've never had an allergic reaction to a vaccine or anything like that. But some people are different, aren't they? So, trouble is, you don't find out until you have the vaccine, as with COVID. So he saw him on July the 4th. Incident. On July the 5th, Mr. Varley took Preston to visit the defendant's parents in Congleton. So all this, for anyone who's not in this area or doesn't know this area, all took place in Blackpool, which is a town in the north of England near Manchester. It's quite a famous town because you've got the Blackpool Tower. It's like the pound shop, Eiffel Tower, isn't it? The pleasure beach. We've been there quite often with crimes and things. Charlene Downs, the girl who still hasn't been found, that said that she went into a kebab but that happened in Blackpool. And then this case is being heard in Preston Crown Court, which is where the Nicola Bulley case was heard, and the forensic pathologist who examined little Preston was also Alison Armour. She was also the forensic pathologist that examined Nicola Bulley. So there's a lot of connections to cases we've dealt with. So he planned to meet them at his parents' after work. So he tells the court he arrived home first and got Preston's bottle ready for bed. Preston didn't settle. He was wide awake after they put him down, he says. They do make a big deal out of everything. It's like, I had to get his bottle ready for bed. We literally put the powder in, fill it up with water or whatever, and warm it up. I mean, what do you have to? What? It's not a big, it's not a great big thing, is it? Getting a bottle ready, for God's sake. Anyway, never mind. Preston did not settle. He was wide awake after they put him down. We could hear him. We always used to leave his bedroom door open, slightly ajar, and our door ajar, so we could hear him better. We could hear him giggling to himself. Oh, he was giggling to himself, vocalizing and playing. Right, I'm calling out shite there because, sorry, excuse my French. The problem with me at the moment is I am three things. I am tired. I am hungry. I'm hot. So I'm feeling tetchy. So I just don't believe this guy. Don't believe him. Well, he was giggling to himself, vocalizing and playing. We were sat in bed and we could hear him playing. It was that moment is why it was in that moment. He's wide awake. He's not going to sleep. I wanted to go and see what he was doing. He says he didn't touch Preston, but he saw Mr. Varley take hold of Preston's hand. So they were only holding one hand. He tells the court he didn't hear a pop or crack. He says he doesn't recall Preston reacting in any way. He remembers Mr. Varley saying oopsie or careful and lying him down. Miss White reminds the defendant that Dr. Gifford said he would be inconsolable, but McGowan Fazackley says Preston didn't cry. There was nothing inconsolable. So don't forget, the doctor said that from the photo, because they'd taken photos of this, hadn't they? Or Jaimoe had. And the doctor said that Preston looked distressed and almost as if he needed resuscitation, but not according to GF. So he says he left and went to bed, and he left Mr. Varley to put his dummy in and put him down. He says the night was quiet, but they went in pain. The next morning, he says, we noticed he wasn't really using his arm or taking things from it. Discomfort? Not really. I remember squeezing his arm and a little bit of manipulation. I squeezed, tried to manipulate a little bit, and he let me do it. He says he did not show signs of pain on touch. He says he noticed that Preston wasn't really using his arm. So he asked if anything had happened the day before when he was at work, if he got him into the car seat funny, and that was no. So the only thing it could be was a twizzling backwards in the cot. He had to leave for work, but he suggested that Mr. Varley call Amy. She's the social worker, the health visitor, I think. Oh no, social worker. He had no concerns about the consequences of calling her. Now, yeah. Anyway, things. What happened? It flicked off. Right, no, I've done that. Done that. That was yesterday. I'm back to yesterday. Hang on. Oh. Flick back to yesterday. This is what I mean. Honestly, there's something about me in technological things. The computer just does what the hell it wants. Oh, good. Right, I'm getting there. I'm there. Back to the no consequence. Yeah, that's it. So, Miss White says the prosecution alleged this was a non-accidental injury, but the defendant says he was present and there was no kind of assault. Well, he would say that though, wouldn't he? He says there was no degree of irritation with Mr. Varley. He knew Preston would have slept in the car, and it was just a case of Preston being awake and wanting attention. He knew Preston was being taken to hospital after the call with Amy, but he didn't attend the hospital. He says he remembers Mr. Varley telling him Amy was going to Staining Road and they would attend together, but she called and said she would meet him at the hospital. He says he asked if he needed to cancel his meeting to go to hospital, but he didn't need to. When he returned home, he says he assumed Mr. Varley had told the hospital what they had discussed about the cop. He knew Preston had the hairline fracture and had been that both the prosecution forensic experts and the defence forensic expert said that this injury was unlikely to be non-accidental. I must remember that. I remember Jamie telling me when I came home, I arrived home, Amy was at the property with Preston and Jamie. Amy was sat on the floor playing, and Jamie told me that he was informed by the hospital this was a common injury. How he described it to the hospital was common and in line with the injury caused. They said it was a hairline fracture, and Jamie told me they x-rayed it and couldn't see a fracture. Then they zoomed in on it. It was a little bit unclear if there was an injury there. On July 7th and 11th, Preston returned to the hospital. Mr. Varley mentioned a car seat sent to Dr. Elbow, or mentioned dropping him accidentally. They gave conflicting stories of this injury, and when they were challenged about it, they said, oh, well, no, Jamie Varley said, no, this is definitely what happened. The people that were saying he'd said something else, they must be mistaken or even lying. You're like, no, this is what happened. I never said that. I never said it had happened with the car seat. Anyway, he said he wasn't aware of his partner giving anyone a different narrative to what he had seen in the cot. Well, he did. He did give everybody. He did give a different narrative. Thank you, Sean. Hit like. Sometimes I don't even know what language I'm speaking. Anyway, I looked after a child review took place over Teams on July the 11th. Care professional indicate to you that this type of injury was associated with inflicted harm? Mr. White asks. No, they didn't, the defendant replies. And the defendant says he never thought for a second that Preston would come to any harm if he left the property. But he did, and often. Every time he was not there, or nearly every time, and especially if he was working away or he was off with his colleagues going to special meetings, something would happen to Preston and Jamie Varley would be on the message, sending him distressing videos, etc. Jaimoe was playing for attention all the time, wasn't he? Miss White says that between July 7 and 27, there was an independent social work review and the discussion with Dr. Elbow, a work get together, visits from Amy, the visit to the eye doctor, and a visit with Mr. Varley's mum on July 27. By this date, the prosecution say you have willfully neglected Preston by allowing him to stay in the sole care of Mr. Varley. Had you? Don't think that's really a fair thing to say, to be quite honest. If you can't leave the child you're adopting with your partner, well, just not even worth doing, is it? But I do think he did neglect Preston. I feel with John, he couldn't wait to get out the house, because Jamie is high maintenance, isn't he? He's high maintenance, he's a drama queen, he's, needs a lot of attention, or he gets nasty. We saw from his messages, he gets quite nasty. So I'm sure John was like, oh, thank God I'm going to work. But the problem is he didn't, to worry what Jamie might be doing to Preston. Anyway, he says no, he denies it. No, I hadn't. And she asks, by then they say you were aware of, or should have been aware, he was at significant risk of serious injury. Did that elbow incident lead you to believe he was at serious risk? And he replies, not at all. I remember Jamie feeling he was blaming himself. I said, there's no need for him to blame himself. You've taken him to hospital, you've done the right thing. And Miss White asks if the position of Preston in the cot on July 27, did that put you on notice that you shouldn't be leaving Preston alone with Mr. Varley? And he said, Jamie has always shown me how much he doted on and loved Preston. He's never said anything to me that has made me even think for an instant or a second that my son, not your son, John, is going to come to any harm if I leave that property. They're more lies, Sean, I agree. It's all lies, isn't it? He's never said anything that makes me think something's not right, something's not adding up. He's never said anything to make me even question that leaving the house, I would come home and my world would just collapse on that day. Did you think he was depressed? The barrister asked. It was a happy day. The mortgage was signed off. We were exchanging the next week. Everything was arranged. Removal vans were booked. The house was a bomb because we were packing, but it was a moment we were looking forward to. I remember thinking, I can't wait for us to get there and start our life as a family. Well, you'd already started your life as a family. Mr. GF says Preston was happy on the morning of July 27th. Poor little thing, he didn't know what was in store for him that day, did he? The defendant changed Preston's nappy and took his laptop to the lounge to work, while Mr. Varley gave him his breakfast. Preston needed a wash because he was sick in his high chair. Oh, I expect Jamie took a photo of it and sent it to all his friends. So that was what we learned about from yesterday, wasn't it? That Preston would be sick and Jamie would take photos, send it to people to show them. It's disgusting, that, to be honest. I never ever have done that. Photo and send it to your friends, not even just to John. So apparently he was sick that morning while he was having his breakfast, but he seemed perfectly well by the time they left Mr. Varley's mum. So they took Preston to Jamie's mum's house and they went off to meet up with their mortgage advisor, didn't they? Preston was in Karen's arms with some baby keys in his hand and he was waving goodbye. He looked happy. he says. I think that's the last time John saw Preston alive. Mr. White asked about phone calls between the defendants that day. Mr. GF says he was not given any information about Preston being unwell and having seizures. There were messages about 2 kayaks. Remember, they were putting these messages backwards and forwards about the kayaks that they wanted to sell. They'd bought them during COVID and they never used them. They're trying to get rid of them. There were minutes after a video was recorded which shows Preston unwell. Mr. GF says he left the Salford office just after 4:45. There was a 36-minute phone call at 17:45, and the defendant explained he would always call on the way home from work. I remember calling him and having that conversation. I said, I'm on my way home. Do you need me to stop at Tesco's to get anything? And he said, no, I've got dinner sorted. Come straight home, beautiful. Oh, fuck. Get me a bucket. No wonder Preston kept being sick. He's probably listened to all this crap from these two. Come straight home, beautiful. He says he didn't say anything about Preston being unwell. I remember he was very happy and cheerful. It was a happy, normal conversation, he said. Nothing was said, he says. Poor little Preston. And what he had to put up with him, apart from that, he had to listen to all that crap. Anyway, so GPS shows that Mr. GF returned home at 6:15. He says he could not get in because there was a key on the inside of the door. How strange, isn't it? You know, my front door works like that. If you leave the key on the inside of the door, you can't get in from the outside even with a key. And sometimes I leave the key in the door if I go upstairs, or I don't know, if I'm here on my own. Sometimes I do that. But why would Jaimoe do that when he was expecting John to come home any minute? Did he not want him to just walk in on him? I don't know. Anyway, he could hear the dog barking. There was a nappy by the front door, which he put in the bin. He decided not to knock again because the dog was barking. So he knew he was there, so he waited. Jaimoe opened the sash window and he said quickly, come in, I need your help. I said, I can't come in, the door's locked. He came downstairs, he opened the door and said, I need your help. He went back upstairs. By the time I'd opened the door myself, he was halfway upstairs. I put my briefcase down. I had my phone and wallet in my hand. I put them in the green moving box, kicked my shoes off and ran straight upstairs. He had time to kick his shoes off though. Do you see how it's all performative, isn't it? It's like, oh yeah, I was so concerned I dashed upstairs, but he remembered to take his shoes off first. I know that's probably a habit they were in. But I think if I came in and my partner was saying to me, oh, look, I need your help, the baby's not well or whatever, I think taking my shoes off would be the last thing that I'd think of. I wouldn't care. You just... Anyway, he did. He stopped to take his shoes off. So I knew as I entered the room something wasn't right. There were sick and soiled towels. The room absolutely stunk. So, I mean, how sick had he been? This is not normal, is it? It's not normal reflux. Babies do throw up, don't they? Of course they do. And, their milk and stuff. But this is not normal. The room wouldn't be sick and soiled towels, plural, and the room's stinking. Describing the scene when he returned home, GF said, I ran upstairs. I turned to enter Preston's bedroom. Preston was on the sheepskin rug facing the door and he was sat up. I remember seeing Jay's hand behind his back, and he was patting and banging and rubbing on his back. I don't know if it's fair to say he was up himself or Jamie was keeping him up, but he was upright, and if Jamie moved his hand away, he did not fall down. I think this baby was already dead. That's probably why he didn't fall down. He just didn't move. He wasn't moving. As I walked in, his eyes were a little bit open. As I walked in, the room stunk of sick. I saw him being sick. I don't know. Well, he can't have been dead then if he saw him being sick. But did he, or is he lying? I don't know if he was being between coming through the door and round to him. He was sick through his nose and mouth. He wasn't vocalising. Oh God, what did that horrible man do to him? Oh my God. There's no doubt in my mind that it's because of something that Jamie did to him that this little boy was in this state. Jamie was in front of Preston and he was trying to rub him and banging on his back and saying he needed help. I said, what do you want me to do? I got down on my knees and was rubbing his back, saying, come on, baby boy, come on, baby boy. Again, why does he not call him Preston or Elijah, the name they gave him? You would use his name, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Anyway, I don't know. That happened for about 30. As I entered the room, something wasn't right. There were sick and soiled towels. The room absolutely stunk. It reminded me of being 18 or 19 in the halls of residence. It absolutely stunk. But again, that's a weird thing to say because the halls of residence, they're not going to stink of baby sick, are they? Everything they say is weird and contrived and performative. You know, none of it makes sense, does it really? Anyway, the defendant recalls Preston going floppy and unresponsive and limp. That's when he died, I think, that baby. And Miss White asked the defendant what he was told about what had happened. He said, I got a little bit more information in the short car journey to the hospital. In the room, I think he'd told me he'd just got him out of the bath and he couldn't stop him from being sick. I remember rushing down the stairs and going to grab my phone. Before I went to take him to hospital, I said, I'm going to call an ambulance. But before I picked up my phone, he had Preston in his arms and he said, I'm going to go to hospital. It was too important to wait for an ambulance. From the moment I left the room to the moment I saw him in Jamie's arms, his eyes were open a bit when I entered the room, but in his arms, he went floppy. In his arms, he went floppy and unresponsive and limp, sad. So we took a short break. Let me just see where we are. I'll read this one. So after the break, GF said information was shared on the car journey and at home it seemed to be the same information, he says. He said he was having his bath and then he left the room and then he came back and he wasn't in his bath seat. The word drowning was not used, but I guess I might have thought his head was underwater if he was out of the bath seat, he says. He said that Mr. Valley did not use the word seizure and didn't say anything about taking a video out of concern about possible seizures. He said he only learned of the video, another video, in his police interview. And he says, I feel like he's hidden that from me. I don't understand why, he says. I can recall every aspect of that day, from the moment I opened my eyes until I went to sleep with Maximus, that's the dog, next to me. And for days, weeks, and months afterwards, all I have done is replay that day over and over in my mind. Have I missed something? What on earth has happened? Then the defendant told the court he believed that Preston had been submerged in the bath. So describing Mr. Valli at hospital, he says Jaimoe was uncontrollable at that time. Perhaps subconsciously, I was thinking I can't handle that. I have to be a little bit selfish and handle my own emotions. He was saying and vocalising it was all his fault, and that's what he said at the hospital, wasn't it? But he's walked out of the bathroom and come back, and Preston was no longer in his bath seat. That was the story. That's what he was saying at hospital. Walking out the bathroom, leaving him. That's what he was blaming himself for. At hospital, I thought that Preston had his head submerged. He'd got him out, thrown up, and a result of that, he'd passed away. Now, I may have to finish in a minute. Honestly, I feel just it's been such a hectic morning. And I want to give Preston justice, or want to do it. Let's see how much is to go. There's still quite a lot, see. Still quite a lot. I was going to try and go up to lunchtime. But you know what? I think it's better that I finish there because I literally almost can feel that my eyes are closing. So, it's just been hectic. Teaching Spanish, an hour's driving, been to the supermarket and done shopping. I'm trying to deal with these technological issues on the computer. Sean, that is so very generous. You are so very kind. No, you're very, very kind, Sean. That's extremely kind. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Gosh, I just wish, do you know what I wish? If I could change one thing about my life, because I quite like my life, there's things, it's not perfect, but, I count my blessings, get some sleep. Yeah. I know, I have to just catch a nap where I can. Because tonight as well, so my son's working late, I've got more classes later. I've got to fit in some lunch. I don't want to sound as if I'm complaining because I'm not. I like my life. I'd rather be busy than, it's better than not having enough to do or whatever. But then later, I've got to drive another hour there and back to go and get my son late at night. So I'm not very good at night. That is a problem for me. I'm an early morning person. If I get things done early in the morning, like when I did the live early this morning, I'm fine with that. But as the day goes on, I get tired, and then especially because I'm not getting enough sleep when my son's working late. Tomorrow he's not working late, thank God, and he's off Friday. Yeah, I don't have to drive on Friday, so I'm planning on trying to do something, fun as well. But yeah, I'm not in a very good sleep pattern at the moment. So I've got to get my sleep pattern better. But I want to be on and carry on doing this. But the problem is, as I'm getting tired, I don't feel like I'm doing Preston justice. I want to be talking about this when I'm sharp, because I don't want to miss things that this twonk says, like the lies. And again, let's just remind ourselves, let me put the reason that we're even here talking about this, that I'm talking about it, that you guys are listening to me talk about it, the fundamental thing is this guy. Let me just take off the see, I can't even click the right button. No, that's where I am at the moment. I can't click the right button. Yeah, so about this little guy, and I hope the jury are seeing through the lies. I'm sure they are. But this face, I would have adopted him. I don't think elderly women without a husband are allowed to adopt. I don't know, but I would have loved to have adopted this little one. He's so cute, and babies are hard work. I'm probably too old for babies now, but I certainly wouldn't have treated him like they've treated him. He would have had a much better life. But anyway, bless him. He had such a short life, didn't he, as well? Anyway, that's why we're here. That's why we're talking about it. But I'm going to go for now because I'm not going to be doing him justice. Literally, my eyes are closing, which is not good. But it's very hot as well, apart from anything. So you've got all those factors combined. Is like, as they've done Spanish classes, I've been to the supermarket, I've done a live stream, and I'm doing this, and I've got the thing is, through all that, it's nearly 30 degrees, so it makes it all even more difficult. So I need a cat nap. Before my next classes, I need a little cat nap, and then I remember where we are, where we've got to. So the during break, they came back at 12 o'clock, and that's where I'm going to take it. And I just want to mention though, he's going to be talking about the videos and things. Because the thing about this case is, Jaimoe Varley just couldn't help himself taking videos and stuff and photos. A lot of the case is put together because of Jaimoe Varley's own idiocy, really, of taking photos, videos. Well, thank God he did, because the police have got evidence, haven't they? So there's no evidence. We haven't got a video of him actually sex abusing this little boy. But we have got videos and photos of him neglecting him, leaving him in the bath, spinning him round in the spinning cups, etc. And we have to remember that John, he has seen most of these photos and videos, but he never did something about it. So he's saying now, I didn't realise it was bad until I was in the police interview. I didn't realise till now it was bad. It's because he's been caught. So I do believe that John, in my opinion, John is just as guilty. I literally do believe that. But anyway. So I waffled on a little bit there. I like a waffle. I apologise to those of you who don't know that every now and again I go off into a bit of a waffle. Some people like it, some people don't. But it's just me. That's why it's Vicky Marie Chats. Chats True Crime. We're all about the chatting. I just want to say before I finish, I'm not here for forensic examinations. I'm not a detective. Can't solve cases. We're here to chat about cases, to give people, victims, a voice, and to then see what happens. And hopefully before the end of next week sometime, we'll get on this case. Now, I've got quite a few things prepared that I want to show you. It'll probably be weekend now, about where Jaimoe worked, and things like that. And of course, now this sort of bombshell revelation came out that it's thought that maybe he stole the prom money from the prom that they were having at the school that he worked at. So I want to talk a lot about more about all that as well. And of course, it's difficult because we're in the case and there's so much evidence being presented or so much testimony. It doesn't leave much time for the rest of everything. But anyway, we will do. So listen, thank you so much for watching. Just very special thank you there to Sean, who's a very good supporter of this channel. Thank you so much, Sean. And I'll see you all really soon in the next video. And until then, I'm going to get some sleep. If you need to get if it'll be tonight. It will probably be in the morning. Just haven't got time today. Today's just one of them days. So sorry. Thank you. Bye.